Hi, and welcome to CSO Connected. I'm really thrilled to be here today to speak with Scott Barker. He's the head of sales for partnerships with Sales Hacker. Scott, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Have you always been a sales hacker? What is a sales hacker?
What is a sales hacker? That's a good question. I would say yes. I think I always have been a sales hacker. I started selling when I was 18, door to door, in Australia, actually. Golf and spa packages was my first kind of trial at sales.
So you took a really hard product to sell.
It was so difficult. So everything since then has kind of just been a breeze, I think. But I don't know, I do find this theme in my career where I didn't often do what I was told. I didn't always follow the process. So sometimes it's my VP's nightmare. But I would find little tips and tricks and ways of doing things that's maybe not better, faster, just my way. And it ended up working out for me. I parlayed that experience I got into selling in the travel industry as like an account executive, moved up to management there very quick. And by the age of like 22, I was a GM of the Canadian office. And then from there, transitioned into tech. So made the jump over. My 22-year-old self thought, I'm going to go be a director of sales in the tech industry because I was, running a team of 14 sales and marketing people in the travel industry. But it didn't work like that. They basically said, well, you can get a job as a BDR because you have no tech experience. And so I took that, and it was the best career move I think I've ever done. So I started as a BDR about 5 years ago now in tech, and quickly got a team lead position, moved up to management, built out a key accounts program while managing the team. And then from there, had this opportunity come up with Sales Hacker. And I threw my hat in the ring with about 400 other people and somehow tumbled out the other side, and now been running revenue there ever since.
Excellent. Well, we talked a little bit before we came on camera about what is Sales Hacker, and I was really excited to hear about it because it was something that I wasn't as familiar with. So tell us, what is it that Sales Hacker is delivering to the market, and why is it important?
Yeah, I think Sales Hacker was born out of this idea that organizations today aren't doing a good enough job enabling their sellers on new best practices and new technology that's coming up, right? You do your yearly SKO, you do your one-on-ones with managers. Those are usually like deal review and trying to hit your number, not so much a broader look at what's going on in the sales landscape. So we wanted to create this environment where you could come, whether you're a CRO at a Fortune 100 company or you're a BDR it's your first week on the job, that you could come and learn about those best practices, what the most cutting edge sellers are doing. So yeah, we tried to build that environment by we used to do big conferences for thousands of people. We did local meetups. And then when I joined about 2.5 years ago, we doubled down on the digital stuff. So became more of a media company. And now we produce 3 or 4 blog posts a week, do 2 webinars with our partners a week, and I have one of the fastest growing sales podcasts out there, which is the Sales Hacker podcast.
Excellent. And you have another title. And this was my favorite. I know we joked around about this a little bit. You're an evangelist.
Yes.
And I think that's not in the traditional context that we might know that. Tell us about your evangelistic work and how that relates to sales.
Yeah. Well, I'm not building hospitals anywhere, unfortunately, although that would be a cool role. So I snicker at the evangelist title as well.
I
just so we're all on the same page. It is an ambiguous title. For me, what it means is a mixture of sales, marketing, PR, and a lot of work internally, both at Outreach and Sales Hacker, on helping people evangelize outreach and kind of build their own personal brand. So I often joke that it was a title that they gave to me because they didn't know what else to do with me. But
I could think of worse titles.
It's all right. Yeah, it's good. And I run their podcast and do a lot of our LinkedIn strategy, and it's really fun because it gives me a long leash to kind of be creative and do what I like to do.
Well, one of the things I think is very important about what you do as an evangelist or whatever you call it, but you can call it something else, but the work that you're doing is furthering that legitimacy of the sales profession. I think you're providing great content that helps people understand what that common language is that we can share, and that helps us communicate better with customers. And so I think we need people evangelizing for sales. There's certainly been times and in conversations where it almost feels a little bit like a dirty word.
Totally.
Do you find that that is a service that you're able to provide not only as individually as an evangelist, but through Sales Hacker?
I think so. That's definitely the aim and the goal, is to do that. I know I've been very fortunate in my career that I've loved what I've done for a large portion of it. It wasn't always great. I did the 100 calls a day, paid my dues, knocked on doors, as I mentioned. But sales has allowed me to have a really fulfilling career. And I think it's one of the greatest professions in the world. And anytime we can fight that sort of stigma that has been placed around sales is a really good thing.
I also think it's great that you are a bit younger and you've had this quick progression, and at a time in history and in technology when you can quite quickly apply your learnings. Because I knocked door to door and sold in my first job, but by the time it's been sort of, you had to arrive at this place that took a much longer journey, and we didn't have the same tools like social media to get that message out there. So I think you're bringing a lot of relevance and the freshness of that experience, which is going to help new people coming into the roles, I think, be successful much more quickly. So I think that's really important, because that's what we all want, right? We make this investment in hiring people. We need to get them bringing orders in the door and generating revenue as quickly as possible. So that's fantastic. And one of the things we want to talk about today are the trends that are happening in sales with a focus on 2020. It's a new year, new decade, and lots of exciting things going on. And I understand that you worked with Max Altschuler.
Yes.
And you guys produced a report about the 10 trends to watch. Since we can't cover all 10 of them, which I'd love to do because I read it, they're exciting and I think they make sense.
Yeah.
Can we pick off maybe half of those and go into them in a bit of detail, and let's talk about, out of that list, what's the one that you would talk about first?
So I'm a huge proponent of LinkedIn. So one of our trends that we put down as one of our top 10 trends was LinkedIn going mainstream. You mentioned before when we were chatting, it's like, isn't LinkedIn already mainstream? Like,
right.
isn't that a thing? And our point in this kind of prediction is, everyone has a LinkedIn account. Most people, and at least in the circles that
they want a job.
If they want a job. But it's now moved away from, an online resume to a community where your buyers, your peers, your prospects are all interacting with each other. Yeah. And so when we say LinkedIn going mainstream, it's becoming a content creator. If you're not comfortable being a creator yet, become a synthesizer of other people's content. If you're not comfortable being a synthesizer, become just an aggregator and go out and find resources like Sales Hacker and share those out. Because people want to see you and they want to understand the way you think. And by sharing content, you can do that. And then, of course, engaging, commenting, listening. It's a great listening tool for your buyers and prospects as well. So I think the interaction part of LinkedIn is going to be mainstream and no longer a choice. It's like, I think it would be as silly this year and from here on out to be like, I just don't do email. Email's not for me. It's just not my thing, right? And people say that now with LinkedIn. They'll be like, yeah, I've got an account, but, it's not really for me. Yeah. And I think it will sound as funny as someone saying, email, I'm good, thanks.